Welcome to Bumble and Bumble Education. My name is Hugo Urias, and today we'll be doing a precision bob. We're gonna be using a razor today, not scissors. This is not your grandmother's bob. This bob just walked off the front row of Fashion Week. All right, friends. So what we're doing is we're spraying prep into the hair. Our prep is also our tool. In this case, we wanna have a beautiful foundation in that hair to just get that slip for the razor. Just going in section by section and applying prep into the hair. Now, precision starts with this center part. Once we apply this product, the prep through the hair, we're gonna go back and divide left from right with the center part and isolate the hair, leaving some hair at the nape area to start our haircut. So starting from the center front, we're gonna take a vertical line all the way to center back to divide the hair evenly from side to side. Just take a horizontal section on either left or right of center back before you isolate the hair that's not getting cut. As you can see, for a precision bob, what you want to do is you want to be able to see your sections. If you cannot see your sections, you cannot have a consistent approach in this technique. In this case, sectioning is important. So spray a little more prep into the section, and to see this line really well, just comb the hair out of the way and just check your section. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna approach this from the center nape out towards the ears. How we're gonna do this is we're gonna work with the razor from the center back. So if I'm going left as a righty, I want to use the heel. So I'm gonna elevate just slightly to keep a little bit more softness here in at the nape. So I'm gonna work with the razor here with the heel. Now what I wanna do also is just turn my fingers to allow access to the section like so. One more time, just gonna have a little bit of a slider elevation in through the underneath here. So again, we're just gonna work through. Again, air before hair, friends. Using the razor and just working from center back to the left ear. So we're gonna work now from center back towards the right ear. So now what we use is the toe portion of the razor. Again, air before hair. What does that mean? It means that we wanna start the car before we go for the drive. So in this case, you wanna start the movement of the razor before you actually apply it to the section. So in this particular section, what we're doing is, because of the target length that we're working on, we're just cutting in this section that would live a little bit below the perimeter. So what we're wanting to do is have enough of a gap for the perimeter to lay in the target length that we're working in. So now we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Now for our next subsection. So what you'll want to do is you'll make sure that your subsection is horizontal. You want to make sure that that line that's going from center back to the back of the ear is horizontal. Have a check with your comb and then commit to a clip. So we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Once again, from center back, just a straight horizontal line to the back of the ear. Now at this point, we could just twist the sections and lay them over. We'll just have another miss of prep on the section and continue our technique. So you can see we always go back to our center back point of reference. Now a hot tip that we do have is, so that you don't play favorites on one side, if you started from center back out towards left, being a righty, what I would recommend is also starting at center back on your next section and going towards the right. Paying attention to both sides is very important when we're working with our precision bob. What we also want to think about in this case is elevation. To keep that line stronger, now we're going to keep our elevation slightly lower and work in a lot more of a tighter stroke or shorter stroke, more narrow, to give us more precision. We're not going to be over directing the hair. We're going to be keeping the hair in its natural falling position. You'll also want to be thinking about the line that you're cutting. So you'll want to be giving yourself a little bit of room past where you see that perimeter line. And then you're going to start the car and go for a drive. Just keeping that bounce of the razor more of shorter strokes so that you have a beautiful perimeter. Making sure that I keep the tension between the tip of my finger and not going past my second knuckle. slide past where you see your perimeter. Again, start the car, start the razor, air before hair, and go for a ride. Now we're gonna work from center back towards the left. If you feel like you need a little bit more prep in the hair, absolutely, by all means, bless the section and keep it going. Air before hair, short stroke, and just work where you've made that position or allowed yourself to get access. Work to that point, not past that point, which would be, don't work past that second knuckle. As we get towards the part of the hairline that starts to go up, our fingers are making contact with the head shape so that we actually land that precise line more on purpose and more deliberate. Keeping the stroke consistent and short, make sure that our line stays nice and crisp. Now what we're gonna do is continue working, taking horizontal sections. Now, what I want to bring out here in this case is my next subsection is gonna go from center back all the way to the front. So what we're gonna do is comb that hair from back to front like this. Again, my friends, it's a lot easier to convince all these hairs to go in the direction that you're sectioning to allow us to make cleaner sections. So in this case, start at center back and then work that line all the way to the front. So let's just focus on this side. As the section becomes wider, we'll have a tendency to grab the entire thing and try to cut across the entire section. For control, what we're gonna do is work to about halfway and reset and make sure that we don't have any unwanted overdirection. One hot tip that we do have is making sure we slide past the perimeter, and then we are imagining slightly cutting that a little bit longer than its previous section. This way, we're allowing for that hair to have the shape that we're cutting within the stroke, but then also for that perimeter to fall right into the line that we cut. And here, as I work the back of the ear, my friends, if I'm gonna give you an idea for the feeling of the tension, I'm keeping it very light. So I'm not looking to pull as we get towards the back of the ear. This way we keep a nice, beautiful, consistent shape as we work through from the back of the ear towards the front. Now let's do the other side. Just reworking a little prep into the hair so that my sections are clean. Now I can take my subsection from center back towards the front. The razor is painting, not cutting. This is where art meets discipline. Continuing on, working from center back to front. What we're looking for here in terms of the subsection, as we get towards the top, the section becomes just a little bit wider. Why? Well, in my case, my client has a little bit finer hair, which means I can start to take slightly larger sections. Now, if you have a guest that's in your chair that has thicker hair, you'd be taking finer sections for control. As you can see, I'm also increasing the stroke length. This way we can really start to create a beautiful airiness throughout the shape that's very complementary to this very chic look. Keeping a low elevation to maintain that strength that's still in this precision bob, yet we're just wanting to get a little bit more airiness running through the interior. So just be sure as you continue this technique, come back to the top to make sure that you're combing the hair and it's living in its natural falling position. Very important when we're wanting to get a little bit more of a precision shape in, we want to make sure that we're holding that hair directly under its natural falling position. As you can see, I'm continuing to turn my fingers out to gain access to the section. By also doing this, especially with the razor, what that does is it allows the gap directly over the ear so that we're not creating any holes. So in this case, clearing off the face, and then as we work that in, we'll just grab that section of hair with light tension. Now we're just gonna pull out to gain access. And again, keeping that consistent wide stroke. Now that we have a really great solid perimeter, we're just going to really finish this off well. And as you can see, it also, because it's cut with the razor, has a really nice, beautiful little edge as well. So let's just get going on the other side. Now that we're on the other side, what we're looking for is balance, not symmetry. They're not the same thing. You'll notice that just to keep things consistent, I'm just gonna comb a little bit of the hair that's living next to center back, just to have a consistency as I'm referencing moving from center back to the right. So you just see we just take that little bit to make sure we're consistent. Now, once again, between the center back and the top of the ear, we're gonna stop approximately halfway to reset and make sure we have the correct tension as we're working into our perimeter. When we're working with a precision bob, body position is also very important. So what you wanna do is you wanna cut and either turn the chair or cut and move your body position. Today, we're gonna cut a section and turn the chair or the virtual chair and continue to work our technique. So again, we're now just gonna turn our pointer fingers towards the ear and then just take that wide stroke working from back to front, cutting from short to long. So I'm noticing this little piece of hair kind of didn't know where to go. So I just recomb it and then go back and just make sure I get that. I'm just keeping a lighter tension as we're working towards the back of the ear. So now we're working from the ear on the right side towards the front hairline. So getting that hair just behind the ear here. And again, working in a slight, very, very light tension as we're working through and just keeping my fingers close to the head shape, to the neck, to make sure that that line lands where it's supposed to live. Now, the other thing is, like we spoke to in this case, finger position. If we pull directly below the ear, we might get a little surprise. One of the things that we can do with our finger position is just take and turn. And again, this actually works right into the technique with razoring, which is giving us access from back to front versus being square. You just want your fingers, in this case, pointing at the chin and out at the ear. So let's do it. So let's take down another horizontal subsection. As you can see, we have the right side. Now, again, like the same trick we did in the previous section, just take a little bit to the left of center, just as a reference so that we're working in a consistent manner from center back, working towards the right. Once again, just have a look. Here's your ear, here's center back, here's your halfway point. You wanna imagine yourself stopping at that halfway point to make sure you're working with a great consistent technique. All right, now that we've established that perimeter into the right side, we can just work until the hair falls out of our fingers like this. And when that hair starts to come back up, you know it's time to cut. Again, as we're working towards the front, you'll notice that the section does not reach the center front, so you can still hold that section just past the front of the hairline there. As you get towards the center front, you'll start to over-direct slightly to make sure you don't cut that too round. So in this case, the position would be out at the ear and in at the chin. Continue with your technique, getting a nice line in. So one of the things I love about working with the razor, my friends, is, I feel like once you understand how to use this tool and you stop being intimidated by it, I think what's incredible is it's such a visual tool. And I think everything that you do in terms of the mechanics create a result. When you understand the mechanics, you can understand how to yield better results. One of the things I also love about it is I just feel a lot more of an artistic type of hairdresser when I cut with the razor. When I cut with the scissors, I love it, yet I also feel like it's so technical in its approach. So for me, it's always been one of the things that I love, being able to do it whenever my clients are more inclined to let me use the razor. So let's refine the shape. And what we mean by refining the shape is, let's knock some gaps around in this to give it a really great balance so that it does look like a chic bob that just walked off the front row of the runways. So we're gonna go in with the tip of the razor and we're just gonna take some little bars out so that we start to get a little bit more air, a little bit more transparency through the interior. Really, it's gaps, positive and negative space for those gaps to just fill in really beautifully. So I'm gonna work one half and then we'll work the other half. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take the razor once again, using the tip, coming in with the tip. And you'll also notice that as we work this technique, we're gonna elevate the hair away from that previous section that we were in. Now, when we're refining, Your sections need to be somewhat visible, but not perfect. We already put the perfect in with the part when we started working on the perimeter. So now in this case, it's just going in and really cleverly looking where we want to create that positive and negative space within the shape. Precision does not mean perfect. It means intentional. That's what separates a technical cut from a creative one. So now we're going to switch the technique to vertical. Now vertical lines in any shape will create a little bit more element of sleekness and slim the shape down. You'll notice that we start to just move that razor as we introduce it into the section. That creates a little bit more of an easier access as you're working in. One hot tip when we're refining in vertical sections, friends, penetrating the section is a lot easier when you just move it up and down. You can get through and then start to really get those channels working with more finesse. Allows you to be able to get in there and get that section. Now that we see the hair is really drying into an incredible chic shape, it almost looks like you don't need anything. But to take it to that next level of beautiful finish, we're gonna add thickening spray and work it into the hair from roots to ends. Blow dry with your hands only, no brush, no round tension. I'm misting BB Dry Spun texture spray on the ends just to give it that beautiful fashion finish. And there you have it, the Bumble Precision Bob Razor Edition. Beautiful classic shape with a fashion finish. Thank you for watching Bumble Education. Please follow us at Bumblepro, and we'll see you next time.